I used to believe every great discovery needed two people. One person to dream, one person to believe in the dream. For 6 years, I built a cancer detection technology that could help doctors find tumors much earlier than current methods. Every failed experiment, every sleepless night, every holiday I missed felt worth it because Emily always stood beside me. She smiled as I closed my laptop. "So," she asked, "how close are we?" I leaned back in my chair. "Closer than ever." "Patent ready?" "I think so." She walked around my desk and wrapped her arms around my shoulders. "I knew you could do it." I laughed. "You've been saying that since year one." "Because I've always believed in you." I turned toward her. "When this patent is approved, everything changes." "It does." "No more tiny apartment." She smiled. "No more second jobs. No more wondering if we can afford our wedding." She kissed my forehead. "We'll finally have our future." Hearing those words made every sacrifice feel lighter. I opened the encrypted research folder on my computer. "This is it." Emily looked at the screen. "The final version? Every experiment." She nodded. "Every result? Everything." She squeezed my hand. "I'm proud of you." I trusted her completely. She knew every password, every backup location, every research notebook. I never imagined I needed to protect my work from the woman I planned to marry. Later that evening, Noah stopped by my apartment carrying pizza. He looked around before sitting down. "So," he asked, "when are you filing?" "Next week." He smiled. "Finally. I've waited 6 years." He glanced toward Emily, who was making coffee in the kitchen. Then he quietly asked, "You really trust her with everything?" I looked at Noah and smiled. "Of course I do." He leaned back in his chair. "I trust people too, Ryan." "Then what's the problem?" "I don't hand them my entire life." Emily walked over carrying 3 coffee mugs. "What are you two talking about?" Noah grinned. "Your future millionaire fiancé." She laughed. "I believed in him long before anyone else did." She handed me my coffee. "I know." Noah looked at me again. "I'm serious." "I know you are. Your research is worth millions." "I didn't build it for money." "I know. I built it so people could survive." Emily smiled proudly. "That's exactly why he'll change the world." Noah nodded slowly. "I hope so." The conversation drifted to wedding plans, travel ideas, and the small house Emily wanted near the ocean. Listening to her describe our future made me forget Noah's warning almost immediately. A week later, we attended Boston University's annual Innovation Gala. Researchers, investors, professors, and biotech executives filled the ballroom. Emily adjusted my tie. "You look nervous." "I hate presentations." "You'll do great." Professor Michael Bennett walked over. "Ryan." "Professor." He shook my hand. "I've reviewed your final data." And he smiled. "I'm proud of you." "Thank you. You've built something extraordinary." Before I could answer, another man joined us. Professor Bennett smiled. "Ryan, I'd like you to meet Daniel Hayes." Daniel offered his hand. "It's good to finally meet the engineer everyone's talking about." I shook it. "Nice to meet you. I'm vice president at Genova Biotech. I've heard of your company." "We've heard of you too." His confidence filled the room. As we talked, I noticed Emily watching him with unusual interest. She laughed at every joke he made. She asked questions she normally never cared about. For a moment, something felt strange. Then I quietly reminded myself not to be paranoid. Emily loved me. She was going to be my wife. The gala continued, but I kept noticing Emily looking toward Daniel whenever he spoke to another group. I leaned closer. "Everything okay?" She smiled quickly. "Of course." "You seem distracted." "I was just thinking." "About what?" "How many opportunities are in this room?" I laughed. "You're already planning our future." "Someone has to." Daniel returned with 2 glasses of sparkling water. "I borrowed these," he said. "Thanks," I replied. He looked at me. "Professor Bennett tells me your patent is almost ready." "It is." "When are you filing?" "Early next week." "Congratulations." Emily smiled. "I've been telling him this day would come." Daniel nodded. "You must be proud." "I am." He glanced at Emily. "Supporting someone through 6 years of research isn't easy." She laughed. "It definitely wasn't." He excused himself a few moments later, but Emily watched him disappear into the crowd before turning back to me. I ignored the feeling growing inside my chest. On the drive home, She reached across the console and held my hand. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "The patent." "Nervous?" "A little." "You don't have to be. I've checked everything 100 times." She smiled. "Then let me help." "How?" "I'll deliver the research proposal to the patent office myself." I looked at her. "You do that?" "Of course. I can take it after work." "You spent 6 years carrying this dream." She squeezed my hand. "Let me carry it for one morning." I smiled. "You're sure?" "I've never been more sure." When we reached the apartment, I unlocked the encrypted folder and placed the finalized proposal inside a secure document case. Emily watched quietly. "I'll keep it safe," she said. I handed her the case without hesitation. "I trust you more than anyone." She smiled, kissed my cheek, and whispered, "I won't let you down." I believed every word. 3 days after Emily took my proposal, I called the patent office. "Good afternoon," I said. "I'm checking the status of a filing." The clerk typed, "I'm sorry, sir. I don't see anything under that name." "Could it be delayed?" "Possibly. Do you have a receipt number?" I opened the photo Emily had sent me. "There's no number on it." "Then I can't confirm delivery." I ended the call and stared at the screen. Emily had texted me. Everything went smoothly. "Stop worrying." I called her. "Hey," she answered. "The patent office has no record of my filing." "What?" "They said it never arrived." "That doesn't make sense." "You delivered it yourself." "I did." "Did they give you a receipt?" "I think so." "You think?" "Ryan, calm down. I've spent 6 years on that paper, and shouting won't make it appear." "I'm not shouting. You sound like you don't trust me." I lower my voice. "I'm asking what happened." "It was probably a clerical mistake." "Then send me the receipt." "I'm in class." "After class." "Fine." The line went dead. That evening, she came home without the receipt. "Where is it?" I asked. "I must have left it in my bag." "You're holding your bag." She opened it, searched, then frowned. "It isn't here." "Where else could it be?" "I don't know." I watched her avoid my eyes. "Emily, did you really go to the office?" Her head snapped up. "Of course I did." "Then why can't you prove it?" "Because people lose papers. Not papers worth millions." Her face hardened. "You're making me feel like a criminal." "I'm trying to find my work." Before I could answer, my phone rang. Noah's name appeared. "Turn on the news," he said. "What?" "Genova Biotech is announcing a cancer detection system." I froze. I grabbed the remote and turned on the television. A large stage filled the screen. The Genova Biotech logo stood behind Daniel Hayes as cameras flashed around him. Emily slowly sat beside me. "That's the company from the Gala," she said. "I know." Daniel smiled at the audience. "Today marks a new chapter in early cancer detection." I felt my stomach tighten. He pressed a button. A medical diagram appeared behind him. I stopped breathing. "No." Emily looked at me. "What?" I pointed at the screen. "That model." Daniel continued speaking. "Our research allows doctors to identify microscopic changes long before traditional methods." My hands began shaking. "That graph." "What graph?" Emily asked. "I made it." She stayed silent. Daniel switched to another slide. A color-coded algorithm appeared. Only 4 people had ever seen it. Me, Emily, Professor Bennett, and Noah. I whispered, "That's impossible." Noah called again. "Are you watching?" "Yes." "Ryan, I know. That presentation is your project." "I know." Every new slide made my chest heavier. Daniel explained the calibration process. Then he demonstrated the exact testing sequence I had designed 18 months earlier. Even the animation followed my original presentation. Emily quietly stood up. "I'm going to make tea." I looked at her. "Sit down." She froze. "Ryan, sit." She slowly returned to the couch. I muted the television. "Tell me something." "What?" "How many copies of my research existed?" "1." "Who had it?" "You." "And you gave one to me." I nodded. "Did anyone else ever touch it?" She looked away. "No." Daniel's voice continued silently on the television while applause filled the auditorium. I looked back at Emily. "My patent disappeared." She swallowed. "My research is on that stage." Another silence. Then I asked the question I never imagined asking. "What did you do?" Emily didn't answer. She kept staring at the blank television screen. I spoke again. "What did you do?" Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "I didn't think it would happen like this." My heart dropped. What does that mean? She covered her face. Ryan, tell me the truth. Tears filled her eyes. I gave Daniel your paper. Everything inside me went silent. You what? He asked to review it. You handed him 6 years of my life. He said he could help. With what? Getting it into the right hands. I stood up so quickly the coffee table shook. You were the right hands. I know that now. No. I shook my head. You knew it then. She started crying. He said your patent would take years. So, he said Genova could develop it immediately. It wasn't theirs. He promised I'd get an executive internship. I stared at her. You traded my research. She closed her eyes. For an internship. The words felt unreal. He said you were brilliant, but too idealistic. I laughed bitterly. So he insulted me while stealing my work. He convinced me your invention would save more people through a large company. You believed him? I wanted us to have a better future. Our future? I pointed toward the television. Our future was inside that document. She couldn't meet my eyes. I thought we'd both benefit. You never asked me. I was afraid you'd say no. Because I would have. Silence filled the apartment. Then another memory hit me. The Gala. She looked up. You were already talking to Daniel. She nodded once. My chest tightened. This wasn't a last-minute decision. No. How long? Her answer destroyed whatever hope I still had. 3 weeks. I stepped backward. For 3 weeks. I'm sorry. You looked me in the eye. I know. You planned our wedding. Yes. You kissed me every morning. I know. And every single day. My voice broke. You already knew you had chosen him over me. I wanted to post everything that night. The messages. The stolen slides. Emily's confession. My thumb hovered over the screen until Noah grabbed my phone. Don't delete anything, he said. I'm not deleting it. You're about to publish it. Why shouldn't I? Because anger makes mistakes. I stared at him. She stole 6 years from me. I know. Daniel is on television taking credit. I know. And you want me to stay quiet? I want you to be smart. I pull my phone back. What would smart look like? Call Sophia Miller. I frowned. From university? She handles patents now. I haven't spoken to her in years. Then start tonight. The next morning, I sat across from Sophia in a small office near downtown Boston. She wore a gray suit and spoke without wasting words. Tell me everything from the beginning. I placed my laptop and research notebooks on her desk. 6 years of lab records. She opened the first notebook. These dates are original? Yes. Witnessed. Professor Bennett signed several entries. She turned to my laptop. Digital backups? Encrypted. Cloud timestamps? Yes. Emails showing development? Hundreds. Sophia looked at me carefully. Did Emily have permission to license, sell, or share your work? No. Did you assign ownership to Genova Biotech? Never. Did you sign any transfer agreement? No. Her expression sharpened. Then they have a serious problem. I leaned forward. Can I stop them? Maybe. Maybe. I need proof that your work existed before their announcement. I unlocked the archive. The screen filled with dated files, test results, and recorded demonstrations. Sophia went silent. What? I asked. She looked back at me. This isn't only proof, Ryan. What is it? It's a trail they cannot erase. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt anger becoming something useful. Sophia closed my laptop and folded her hands. I need one more thing. What? Your professor. I nodded. He knows every stage of the project. Call him. I dialed Professor Bennett immediately. Ryan, Professor, I need your help. Come to the lab. An hour later, we stood inside the University Research Center where everything had started. He looked at me carefully. You look exhausted. I've had a difficult week. I heard Genova's announcement. So you saw it? I recognized your work immediately. My chest tightened. You did. I supervised every major breakthrough. Sophia stepped forward. Professor Bennett, can you verify Ryan developed this technology independently? Without hesitation. For how long? 6 years. Did anyone from Genova participate? No. Did Emily contribute scientifically? No. She only supported Ryan personally. Sophia nodded while taking notes. Thank you. Professor Bennett opened one of the laboratory cabinets. I kept copies of every quarterly evaluation. He handed me a thick folder. These contained dates, signatures, and experiment summaries. Sophia smiled. This strengthens everything. Before we left, my phone buzzed. Emily. I answered after a long pause. Ryan. What? Have you spoken to Daniel? No. He isn't answering me. I stayed silent. I've called 12 times. So, he blocked my number. I closed my eyes. You're surprised? He promised we'd fix this together. He already got what he wanted. I didn't think he'd disappear. I finally spoke. You didn't think I'd lose everything either. She started crying. I made a mistake. You made a choice. The call ended quietly. As I slipped my phone in my pocket, Noah looked at me. She's learning. What? That people who betray others eventually get betrayed too. I looked toward Sophia. So what happens next? She opened her briefcase. Now we stop thinking emotionally. And we start thinking legally. Sophia spread several documents across her desk. Ryan, listen carefully. I'm listening. You have enough evidence to prove ownership. Then why not sue them today? Because there's a smarter move. I frowned. What could be smarter than stopping them immediately? She pointed to one document. Your invention hasn't been fully commercialized yet. So, they're preparing licensing agreements with hospitals and investors. I leaned forward. And you still control the unpublished patent rights. My heartbeat quickened. What does that mean? It means we can pull the foundation out from under them. I stared at her. They built their entire launch around technology they don't legally own. She nodded. If we withdraw every licensing agreement connected to your patent before they finish commercialization, their contracts become worthless. Noah smiled for the first time all day. So their entire rollout collapses. Exactly, Sophia replied. I looked down at my hands. I wanted everyone to know what they did. They will, she said calmly. But first, we make sure the law speaks louder than your anger. I took a long breath. I don't want revenge anymore. Sophia looked at me. What do you want? I want the truth to win. She smiled. Then you're finally thinking like an inventor instead of a victim. I picked up the authorization form. This starts everything. It starts justice. My phone vibrated again. Emily. I ignored it. A second message appeared. Daniel won't answer me. Please tell me what to do. I locked the screen without replying. For the first time, solving Emily's problems wasn't my responsibility. My responsibility was protecting 6 years of honest work. I uncapped the pen. Sophia slid the final document toward me. When you're ready, I signed my name without hesitation. She signed beneath mine. Then she stood, gathered every page into a legal folder, and walked toward the filing office. Before leaving, she turned back and said, By this afternoon, Genova Biotech will be standing on ground that no longer belongs to them. The office door closed behind her. For the first time since my world collapsed, I didn't feel powerless. I felt patient. The morning after Sophia filed the withdrawal documents, my phone would not stop vibrating. Noah looked at me. You aren't answering? I shook my head. No. Good. Another notification appeared. This one came from Financial News app. Genova Biotech delays commercial launch following unexpected legal review. I opened the article. My heart stayed calm. Their product launch had been suspended. Every licensing agreement connected to my technology was under immediate legal review. Noah smiled. It started. I nodded quietly. It finally started. An hour later, Sophia called. They received the notice. How do they react? They're requesting an emergency meeting. Can they ignore it? No. They have to stop production immediately. I leaned back in my chair. So it's over? She laughed softly. No, it's just beginning. Before I could ask another question, my phone buzzed again. Emily. I answered. What? Her voice shook. Daniel won't talk to me. I stayed silent. He says everything is my fault. You gave him my research. He told me everything was legal. You believed him. I loved you. I closed my eyes. If you loved me, you would have trusted me enough to ask. She started crying. He said you would never succeed alone. And now, he says I misunderstood everything. I slowly stood and looked out my apartment window. So he's blaming you? Yes. How does that feel? She whispered. Exactly how I made you feel. Neither of us spoke. Finally, she asked, "Can you stop this?" I answered honestly. "I didn't start it." "What does that mean?" "I simply asked the law to protect what already belonged to me." The call ended. For the first time, I realized I wasn't watching revenge unfold. I was watching consequences begin. 2 days later, Sophia invited me to her office again. She slid a newspaper across the desk. "Read the headline." I looked down. Genova Biotech faces investor panic after patent dispute. I looked back up. They're moving fast. They have to. What happens inside the company now? Confusion. That's all. For today. She handed me another document. "These are internal emails." "How did you get them?" "A whistleblower." I skimmed the pages. Daniel kept insisting the documentation problem was temporary. He promised executives everything would be resolved within days. Another email caught my attention. It blamed Emily for failing to deliver the complete research package. I clenched my jaw. He threw her away. Sophia nodded. He protected himself first. My phone buzzed. "Emily." I hesitated before answering. "What now?" "I need to see you." "No. Please." "I don't think that's a good idea. I just need 5 minutes." I stayed silent. He told everyone I lied to him. "Did you?" "No." "He said I never mentioned the patent." "You did." I warned him. "But you still gave him my work." Her voice cracked. "I thought he cared about me." I closed my eyes. "He cared about my research." She started crying again. "I was so stupid." "No." "What?" "You weren't stupid." "What was I?" "You ignored every warning because you wanted the future he promised." She whispered. "I destroyed ours." Neither of us spoke. Finally, she asked, "Do you hate me?" I answered after a long pause. "I hate what you chose." The line went quiet. After she hung up, Sophia looked at me. "That couldn't have been easy." It wasn't. "Do you still love her?" I stared through the office window. "I don't know." "What do you know?" "I know I can't let love convince me to abandon the truth." Sophia smiled faintly. "Then you're becoming stronger than the person who walked into my office 3 days ago." The following morning, Sophia called before I reached the lab. "Ryan, good morning." It just became bigger. "What happened?" "The CEO is involved now." "Charles Donovan?" "Yes." "He ordered a full internal audit." I stopped walking. "So he finally knows?" "He knows something is terribly wrong." I entered the laboratory and found Professor Bennett organizing equipment. He looked up. "You seem lighter." I finally stopped chasing revenge. "What are you chasing now?" "The truth." He smiled proudly. "That's the scientist I taught." Before I could answer, another call came through. This time it wasn't Emily. "Ryan Carter?" "Yes." "My name is Olivia Reed." "The journalist?" "Yes." "I've been reviewing your university publications." I stayed quiet. "They don't match Genova Biotech's public timeline." "They shouldn't." "I believe someone stole your work." I glanced toward Professor Bennett. "What makes you think that?" "Because your published research describes features Genova announced months later." I smiled faintly. "So you found a gap." "I found enough to start asking questions." "I won't stop you. I'd like to interview you." "Not yet." "Why?" "Because the evidence should speak before I do." She paused. "I respect that." After the call ended, Professor Bennett nodded. "The truth has a way of finding people. I think it's finally happening." My phone vibrated one last time. "Emily." I opened the message. "Daniel says they're firing me. He says I caused everything. I'm so sorry." I read it once. Then I locked my phone without replying. Professor Bennett looked at me. "Are you all right?" I nodded slowly. I spent weeks believing I needed to destroy them. And now, I don't. Outside the laboratory window, students crossed the campus exactly as they had every other day. Life kept moving. So did I. For the first time since my research was stolen, I understood something that anger had hidden from me. The strongest revenge was never destroying the people who betrayed me. It was refusing to let their betrayal destroy me, while the truth quietly dismantled everything they had built on my work. The investigation became public on Monday morning. Noah called before I reached the lab. "Turn on the news." "I'm driving." "Pull over." His voice sounded serious enough that I did. I opened the live stream on my phone. Daniel stood outside Genova Biotech while reporters shouted questions. A headline moved across the screen. Genova executive terminated amid intellectual property investigation. I stared at it. Noah spoke through the speaker. They fired him. I can see that. There's more. The reporter continued. Federal authorities are reviewing possible criminal charges involving stolen research, falsified ownership records, and investor deception. My grip tightened around the phone. So it's real. It's finally public. Another headline appeared. Genova loses billions as investors withdraw funding. I expected satisfaction. Instead, I felt tired. No one noticed my silence. You okay? I thought this would feel better. What do you feel? Nothing clear. That's normal. Is it? You wanted justice, not destruction. I looked at Daniel's face on the screen. He kept saying, no comment. I ended the stream. At the lab, Professor Bennett met me. You've seen the news? Yes. How do you feel? Like someone closed the door, I stopped standing behind. He nodded. That sounds like progress. My phone buzzed. Olivia Reed. I answered. Ryan, the story is live. I know. Genova's board confirmed Daniel's termination. And Emily? There was a pause. Her internship was canceled. I closed my eyes. That isn't all, is it? No. What happened? 3 biotech firms withdrew offers after learning how she obtained your files. My chest tightened. She sacrificed everything for that internship. Olivia's voice softened. And now the industry knows what it cost. Before I could reply, someone knocked on my apartment door. I opened it. Emily stood there, trembling. Ryan, she whispered, I have nowhere else to go. I stepped aside without saying a word. Emily walked into the apartment slowly. She looked around as if she no longer recognized the place we had once called home. I won't stay long, she said. You don't have to explain. I do. She sat on the edge of the couch. I lost the internship. I heard. I lost every job offer. I remained standing. They all know what I did. I nodded once. Yes. She looked down at her hands. I kept telling myself Daniel believed in me. What changed? He stopped answering my calls. I know. When the investigation started, he blamed me for everything. I stayed silent. He told the company I acted alone. I took a slow breath. That's what people like him do. She looked at me with red eyes. I thought he cared about me. He cared about getting my research. Tears rolled down her face. I see that now. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally, she whispered, I traded 6 years of real love for someone who never loved me. The words hurt more than I expected. Not because they were new, because they were finally honest. I don't know who I became, she said. You became someone willing to sacrifice another person's future for your own. She lowered her head. You're right. I warned you that my work mattered. I remember. You promised you'd protect it. I remember that too. She looked at me again. I would give anything to change that day. You can't. I know. She wiped away another tear. I wake up every morning wishing I'd walked into the patent office instead. I looked at the engagement photo, still sitting on the bookshelf. For a moment, I remembered every promise we had made. Then I remembered the moment she chose Daniel over me. The memory was stronger than the dream. Emily looked at me for a long time before speaking again. Ryan, is there any chance we could start over? I closed my eyes for a moment. Months ago, I would have answered without thinking. Now I needed the truth more than hope. I still care about you, I admitted. Her eyes filled with hope. You do? Yes. She leaned forward. Then maybe we still have a chance. I slowly shook my head. Her smile disappeared. Why? Because caring about someone isn't the same as trusting them. Fresh tears rolled down her face. I know I broke your trust. You didn't just break it. I looked directly into her eyes. You handed my life's work to another man. She covered her face. I hate myself for that. I don't. She looked up. You don't. I hate the choice you made. Silence settled between us. Finally, she whispered, Can you ever forgive me? I took a long breath. I already have. She blinked. You have. I forgive you because I don't want to spend the rest of my life carrying anger. She reached toward me. Before her hand touched mine, I stepped back. But forgiveness doesn't mean I can build a future on broken trust. Her hand slowly fell. I understand. I hope you do. She nodded weakly. I finally learned that success means nothing if you lose the people who truly believed in you. I smiled sadly. I hope you remember that. She stood and walked toward the door. Before leaving, she turned around one last time. I really did love you. I answered honestly. I believe you. She looked surprised. But loving someone isn't enough. She quietly opened the door. I'm sorry. I know. She walked away without looking back. After the door closed, I stood alone in complete silence. My phone buzzed. It was Sophia. Ryan, she said, the court accepted every filing. I smiled for the first time that day. What happens now? They'll answer for what they did. I looked out the window as the evening sun settled over the city. For the first time since everything fell apart, I realized justice had never needed my anger. It only needed my patience. 1 year later, I stood inside the new Carter Medical Research Foundation and watched technicians prepare the first screening units for shipment. Noah leaned against the glass wall beside me. You're staring again. I'm trying to believe this is real. It has your name on the building. That still feels strange. He smiled. A year ago, you were fighting to prove the work was yours. And now hospitals in 12 countries are waiting for it. I looked through the window at the sealed equipment cases. We promised the first clinics would receive them at cost. They will. No hidden fees? None. No investor pressure? None. I finally smiled. Then this is what I wanted from the beginning. Professor Bennett walked toward us, carrying 2 folders. You wanted to save lives, he said. I still do. You also wanted to prove one engineer could make a difference. I stopped caring about proving that. He handed me the folders. These are the first patient access agreements. I opened one, rural clinics in Maine. And the second, community hospitals in Kenya. My throat tightened. We're really doing this. Professor Bennett placed a hand on my shoulder. You're doing exactly what your research was meant to do. Before I could answer, Olivia Reed entered the lab holding a printed magazine. The full story is out, she said. I looked at the cover. My photograph stood beneath the headline. The inventor they tried to erase. You used that title? It was accurate. What did you include? Everything I could prove. Daniel, charged. Genova, under restructuring. And Emily? Olivia paused. She declined to comment, but she accepted responsibility in writing. I looked back at the screening units. Good. Noah raised an eyebrow. That's all. Yes. You don't want to celebrate their collapse? I shook my head. I'd rather celebrate what survived. For once, my future mattered more than the ruin behind me. After Olivia left, I walked through the research center with Sophia. She smiled as technicians tested the final equipment. You built this. We built this. She looked at me. No. What? You built the technology. You protected it. I only protected what already belonged to you. I laughed softly. You always make it sound simple. It never was. We stopped beside a laboratory window. Doctors were learning how to operate the screening system. Sophia watched quietly. I've represented inventors for years. And I've never met one who cared less about becoming rich. I smiled. I already had everything I wanted. What was that? The chance to help people. She nodded. I believe you. Before I could answer, my phone vibrated. An unfamiliar number. I answered. Hello. Ryan. I recognized Emily's voice immediately. Hi. I hope I'm not bothering you. You aren't. I read Olivia's article. I figured you might. She hesitated. I wanted to tell you something. I'm listening. I moved to Oregon. How are you doing? I found work with a nonprofit teaching science at a community center. I smiled faintly. That sounds good. It isn't biotech. It doesn't have to be. She took a slow breath. I finally stopped trying to become impressive. Silence settled between us. Then she quietly said, I'm trying to become honest instead. I'm glad. I don't expect anything from you. I know. I just wanted you to hear that I've changed. I hope you keep going. I will. She paused. Thank you for forgiving me. I forgave you a long time ago. I finally forgave myself. The call ended. Sophia looked at me. How do you feel? I looked around the laboratory. Peaceful. Really. For the first time, her future doesn't need me. And yours. I smiled. It finally belongs to me. A few hours later, the foundation held a small opening ceremony. There were no television cameras, no investors, no corporate speeches, only researchers, doctors, students, and families whose lives might one day be changed by the technology. Professor Bennett stepped beside me. Ready? I smiled. I think so. You waited a long time for this. I have. He looked around the room. I always knew you would become a great scientist. I laughed softly. You never told me that. You wouldn't have believed me. We walked onto the stage together. Noah handed me the microphone. You should say something. I looked at the audience. Then I looked at the first screening device waiting behind me. I spent 6 years believing this invention would change my life. I began. It did, but not in the way I expected. The room became silent. I lost people I trusted. I lost opportunities. Almost lost myself. I took a slow breath. But I learned something more valuable than success. I smiled toward Professor Bennett, Noah, and Sophia. People can steal your work. They can steal your reputation. They can even steal years from your life. I paused. But they cannot steal your purpose unless you surrender it. The audience applauded. I stepped away from the microphone. Sophia quietly joined me. You finally said everything you needed to say. I think I did. She smiled. I'm proud of you. I looked around the research center one last time. Doctors prepared patients. Researchers shared ideas. Students asked questions. Life moved forward. Not because my past had disappeared, because I had finally stopped living inside it. I looked through the large glass windows as sunlight filled the laboratory. Someone once stole my research paper. Someone once believed they had stolen my future. They were wrong. My invention was never the greatest thing I created. The strongest thing I ever built was the person who refused to become bitter after betrayal. I smiled as the first patient entered the testing room. They had stolen my paper. They never stole my purpose.